Reuse and recycle of textile materials. The module presents an overview of the new trends of reuse and recycling of textile materials. The topic is covered with a both technical and managerial view for an SME. Contemporary technologies afford for sustainable textile products with low environmental footprint, which on the other hand need an effective business model in order to accomplish the goals of the company. Good practices in reuse and recycling of materials are also presented, as well as the opportunities that they create for new products with enhanced features. Reuse and recycling of textile products is considered a key process for sustainability in the sector. As is the case with various recycling streams, it can be a good and profitable business for entrepreneurs and or for non-business organizations. The steps in textile and clothing recycle. Creating awareness on reuse and recycle. This should be better be targeted in a local level, depending of course on the capability of the organization. The first standard and somehow easy step is setting up a website and social media presence with information about the importance and benefits of donating used items like clothing and shoes. Maintaining the presence though is not so easy, but is vital. You should keep in mind that collection of used material is a crowdsourcing process and is based on the voluntary will and action of the community. Participation of the volunteers has to be constantly enhanced, and this means a constant feed about the social presence of our organization. Social media is important, but do not rely only on this. There are groups of people that do not use them so much, for example the elders, and you need them too. Networking is essential, as well as demonstration of the benefits for the community. Recycling and reuse is a process towards attitude change, and this is a definition of training. So you should plan and implement relevant training actions by providing educational material as well as physical training activities, for example to schools. Establish local recycle spots. You should establish common promotion actions with other recycle and reuse organizations. The concept of sustainability, reuse, and recycle is common for many materials, so by joining efforts with other recyclers, you can save on effort and assets. The recycle point and bins should be both informative and appealing. Upstream connection is a social process with a financial aspect, but connecting downstream is a purely business process. You have to identify the entities that will receive your products, garments, fiber, rags, or raw material for rags and fibers. Even if you do not have direct money revenue from this, there has to be an income and business profit. So raw materials for fibers and rags is probably targeting businesses, while used clothing will go to both business and non-for-profit organizations. The mix has to make a business sense in any case, but donations to non-for-profit could be considered the essential promotion of our own business. Connection with the right parties like regional and municipal authorities, the church, athletic clubs and schools, supermarkets and shopping malls. Direct agreements with big textile consumers like hospitals and hotels. Identify the entities in the region that have the necessity to demonstrate their care for sustainability. They can be a partner or even better, a donator in money or assets. Demonstrate the result. Ethical reward is the only real reward for the volunteers, so you have to give it to them. Collection. Clothing recyclers use a variety of strategies for picking up clothing. The most effective one is from mass producers of textile waste, like hospitals and hotels, as well as the recycling points. Partnerships with local big retailers can also be a rewarding strategy. In fact, the collecting strategy depends on the local conditions of the recycling business, and from the business point of view, it is the logistical part that is important. Clothing sorting. Once collected, used textiles are now a product for sale. Collected clothing is sorted according to the final destination as a product, reuse, rags and fibers. Although there are technologies for automated sorting of used textile products, these demand sophisticated equipment, and for the moment they can be only applied to big quantities and big businesses. For an SME in the clothing recycling business, sorting can only be done manually. It is a simple but labor-intensive job, which on the other hand requires expert personnel that can identify the textile material and sort them accordingly. The final destination of the recycled textile material depends of course on the waste source. In general, a big percentage can be resold in the second-hand garment market, which is doing quite well at the moment in EU. Another part is reduced to industrial rags or filling material for decorations, furniture, mattresses and other products. The other part can be recycled to fibers, which rarely makes business sense if the cost is compared to the cost of the virgin fibers. In general, textile recycling must be subsidized in order to make business sense, since the product is cheap and the external environmental cost is not added to the price. Reprocessing of used fibers. Used textile fabrics vary in composition and reprocessing of them varies accordingly. The general distinction is between natural fabrics, mainly common, and man-made, mainly polyester and blends of polyesters. The composition determines the recycling method as well as the performance characteristics of the recycled fiber. Removal of accessories like buttons and zippers is the first stage of recycling, pre-processing, and then the material is cut into pieces. If reused natural fibers are sorted not only accordingly to the synthesis but also according to the color, the need for dyeing of the product is eliminated, and this is another environmental benefit. The fiber is cleaned, is usually mixed with other fibers depending on the application, and is finally respun. Polyester garments are shredded and granulated in polyester chips that consist the new raw material for the conventional production of new polyester fabrics. Conclusion. Recycling and reusing of textile waste is of growing importance for the circular economy. Technologies have not yet given solutions different from the all well known for recycling of used textiles, but there are many under development. Second-hand garment market is a developing retail segment in EU.